My name is Chris Maxwell, and my life has been shattered. I was pastoring a church in Orlando, Florida. Wonderful people. I was a very busy guy. I was just enjoying life. I was healthy, spending a lot of my time taking care of other people as they were struggling and facing some difficult situations in life. My wife Debbie and I had 3 sons, Taylor, Aaron, and Graham, and I was coaching them in basketball, coaching them in baseball. I was also a writer. In addition to pastoring, I was writing curriculum, writing articles for newspapers, and just very healthy. I never knew much about being sick. I was available to help take care of other people when they were sick, but all of that changed quickly. And an unexpected time in March of 1996. It's a month that I will always remember. Feeling bad one day, and we didn't know what was going on with me, and started passing out, fainting, falling to the floor. Soon we realized that this was a very bad situation, and here I am, a pastor, a guy that thought he had a lot of answers, and I was a man at that moment just so full of questions, struggling. This was very tough for me when I could not remember the names of our 3 sons. This man who prayed, this man who preached sermons, was desperate for God in those moments. The doctors are running tests on me. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And I can remember a little bit of having an MRI done, and I just was placed in this what felt like a cave. And my inner self is desperate for God, for somebody, for some help here. But as I look back, it just felt so alone in those moments. And they determined that I had encephalitis. It was a virus that usually our immune systems would fight off, and it was killing me. Fortunately for us, it was caught in time, and that I would live with brain damage for the rest of my life, and probably never be able to communicate again, never be able to write again. And as they are explaining all of this to my wife and to my family, I'm still a man who felt alone, confused, unsure of this new life journey I was about to enter. And on the medical side, some of the ways that things were so different was because of my damaged brain. I would now live with short-term memory problems. I struggle with so many ways, so many years later after March of 1996. But because of the scar tissue in my left temporal lobe, my brain, your brain is an electrical system, and because of that scar tissue, I'm now living with epilepsy. I did feel shattered. I felt like my life had been torn apart. I was just desperate. I felt like the only one who could understand how I felt at that time, and I was struggling to grasp it myself. But I journaled, asking God the why questions. My God, why have you forsaken me? That's how I felt. That's how I prayed. I wasn't able to pray some structured, organized prayer. I just prayed prayers of desperation, prayers of a man who felt isolated, misunderstood in those moments. And as this is happening to me, my wife is feeling that. Our congregation is feeling it. Taylor, Aaron, Graham, our sons are feeling that. My family who lived far away from us, they were all feeling it. My dad and my sisters. And so this that was happening to me in this world of the unknown, it was happening to so many people in so many different ways. It's interesting now that I travel and speak and tell so many people my story, but my story is not just my story. The story that I tell can't just be about me. What about my wife? In one of the interviews, Debbie called me her second husband. Same man, but so different in so many ways because of the brain damage. So many people who've experienced situations similar to mine feel alone and isolated. And I felt that way for a while, but as I was able to come back to this place where I was more aware of the people around me, I realized that the people still loved me. This new me, this changed me. And I hope that we will begin to grasp the need for people not to be left alone in times of life-changing experiences. I had to go to speech therapy. I was being trained to think, to write, to listen, to learn, to observe, and to remember. And it was embarrassing to me, but it was also a step toward that process of healing, because I was having to come to terms with this new man that I had become. This second me, this me that I didn't like, that I didn't care for, but this me that I had become. I needed to accept that new person, accept the reality of my weaknesses, and accept a willingness to adjust to those problems. People living with epilepsy are those that live with the potential to have seizures. And I thought so often of that word, seizures and epilepsy. And I had to make a transition and move to a place where I was willing to seize the situation. Instead of being the one who was seized, I needed to be willing to seize the opportunities that awaited me. And there were people in our church family that were willing to help, to come to the house, to do things that I was no longer able to do. I had a staff and people around me who were willing to work in new ways as this mind of mine was trying to find a way to work. One night when I was still in the hospital and they knew at this point that I was going to live, there was a nurse in the room with me, and I was having this conversation with her, and then she left. And I felt totally alone. And it was just one of those moments where even though I had questions and doubts and frustrations, I knew that in that moment I was not alone. Sometimes those of us who feel shattered feel so much better when we realize that we are not alone, that this life of the singular moves to the plural, and there are other people around that also feel shattered. But I had to come to terms with the fact that even though I felt so alone and isolated and shattered, that in my weakness, God's strength is made perfect. My name is Chris Maxwell, and I'm learning to trust God when my life is in pieces.